Welcome to The Sober Unicorn. We are a gay-hosted, all-inclusive podcast about sobriety and addiction recovery for the LGBT plus community and all of our allies. I am your host, Holden, and thank you for joining us today. Hey, everybody, it's Holden back here again with The Sober Unicorn. I hope you are doing absolutely fantastic, and if you're not, I do hope that your day gets better. Today, we are being joined also by somebody just like last week, somebody that I've known for a few weeks now. I met Ciara, I would say 2-3 weeks ago. More recently, has she become my ginger bob shell of a friend. So everybody say hello to Ciara. Hello, Ciara.
Hi, everybody.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great, actually.
Good. Well, I'm so happy that you decided to come on and say yes to the podcast.
Absolutely.
Of course. Well, today's episode is going to be a little interesting, I would say, because Ciara has a little bit of time under her belt, and Holden, due to unfortunate events in previous episodes that y'all can listen to, is back in beginning times of his recovery. So we're going to talk about like life on life's terms, okay, and the powerlessness of daily life and shit like that. But until we get there, I want Ciara kind of to give us a small backstory. So kind of tell everybody who Ciara was as an addict and lead us into your recovery journey.
Alrighty. Well, I'm going to start this off as if I were speaking at a meeting. So my name is Ciara and I am an addict. I remember the first time I ever used. So I was pursuing my aviation career. I had just graduated from high school a couple months prior, and I was living on my own, and all I did was go to work and come home, and I didn't really socialize with anybody. I didn't really make friends with anyone. Always felt like an outcast. I ended up inviting some not so great people into my life, and they were using. And I was like, that's fine. I'm just going to let you use, and I'm going to not. And I didn't for a long time until I ended up getting involved with one of the people, and I was letting him drive my car, and we got into this rollover accident. We rolled uphill 6 to 8 times. I was ejected from the vehicle. All 3 of us who were in the vehicle were life-flighted to the nearest hospital. It was really, really bad. After that, I felt like my whole world was crashing down on me. I was actually in between jobs at the time of the accident. My parents were facing a $50,000 lien because of the accident. Like, I was still under their insurance, so that's why. And the kid who was driving the car didn't have a license. So I was getting backlash from that. And then there was like $30,000 that they wanted me to pay, like the ambulance, the life flight, the hospital. They were all coming after me. Like, I was 18 at the time. I didn't know what the fuck to do. Also, I cursed, so I apologize for that.
You're good. I put X motherfucking rated, so you can cuss as much as you want.
Good deal. I curse like a sailor. And it was at that point that I finally cracked. And I had tried methamphetamine for the first time. To be honest with you, I absolutely hated it. I hated the way I felt. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm not going to get addicted to this shit. I hate it. It's fine. So I can keep smoking it. Like, whatever. And I did.
How are you going to hate something, but yet you're going to continue smoking it?
First signs that I'm an addict.
Come on, girl.
Those are your telltale signs of being a true addict, darling. The biggest reason I actually kept smoking it is because I was told it would make me lose weight. And it completely killed my appetite. And I was like, all right, bet. I remember the first time I didn't eat for like 24 hours. I was like, perfect.
You don't eat for that 24 hours, girl, but like the moment I would do the same shit. And I wouldn't eat for 2-3 days. I would lose 25 pounds, 30 pounds. And then the moment I'd come back to my senses, I was at like Wendy's, I was at Panda Express, I was at Arby's, I was eating like 15 times what I should, and then I would gain it all back within a day and a half.
Well, for me, what would happen is the come down would be so terrible, like I wouldn't be able to eat. And then slowly I would be able to eat, and then I would smoke again because the come down was so bad. So it was an endless cycle of like not eating for at least a month straight. And then all of a sudden I was able to eat on it again, but I still kept losing weight. And then I started to really like it. Really like the high. Over the years, though, the drug of choice did change. I remember around the time that my father died, which was probably one of the hardest things that I had gone through. I was about 21. I was introduced to heroin for the first time. Now that was a drug that I loved the first time I ever did it. And what I loved the most about it is that it made me sleep, so I didn't have to face everything that was going on in my life. I really loved my dad. I was very close with him. He was someone I could always go to. And he was like the anchor to my family. When he passed, my brother and sister, they dipped out. I moved back in with my mom at that time. Right before he had died, though, I want to say a couple months before that, like, I just remembered I really wanted to be clean and, like, be a good person so I could really be there for him. And so I was clean, like, abstinent. Let me use the right term there. I was abstinent around the time of his death and after he died, and I saw my mom, who I grew up with a mother who never cried in front of me, bawling every single day. And she started drinking from the moment she woke up to the moment she went to sleep. And I remembered being so angry because I was the one who was parenting her through it. My brother and sister would not help me with her and her drinking. And my drug use took off. And I would take anything and everything I could from my mother. I would take her car whenever I wanted to. I would take hundreds upon thousands of dollars from her and from her bank account so I could go use. I was really quite a terrible person. I would bring some of the worst people possible to her home. Like, these people could have put her in danger. And of course, as my using got worse and I got more and more depressed and miserable, I remember there was an incident. I'm not really going to broadcast this particular incident to the world, but there was an incident that made me realize, like, I was kind of done. I didn't want to keep doing this. That was actually back in 2017. And that was the first time I ever came down here to Florida. Like, I remember Googling treatment centers. The first one that popped up was in South Florida. So I hauled ass to Florida. And I did good down here until the halfway house closed. And I chickened out and I went back home. And going back home was the worst thing I could have done for myself. Because I was right back with my mother who was drinking herself to death. My brother and sister who didn't want to be around. So I lasted all of 3 days back home.
And how long were you clean between coming here to South Florida? And if anybody doesn't know, South Florida is like the fucking capital of treatment. So if you Google rehab, bound and determined, Florida's going to show up for you. But how long were you clean from the time of treatment to the relapse?
Probably about 6 months.
Okay.
Maybe 7. And during that time of being clean, I was just abstinent. I was not doing anything for recovery. I never worked the program until now. And so that relapse was pretty rough. That's when using took a whole new form for me. I went from just smoking and snorting my drugs to IV use. And I got worse. I got into a high-speed chase with the cops. I robbed stores, places of business, people, my mother again. Towards the end of that particular run, which was 2018, my brother had moved back in with my mom to try and actually help out and step up. And at first I was pissed about it because I was like, now you want to show up? Of course I was using at the time. I got into a big old fight with my brother, and he picked me up and he slammed me on the ground. Like, my brother was a big dude, 6'3", a good 450, 500 pounds. Like, he could pick me up like a rag doll.
And I thought I was a big bitch at 400 pounds.
Trust me, you're quite a bit smaller than my brother, than what my brother was. And I got shipped back down to Florida, kind of against my will, but I was like, fuck it, maybe I'll do good. And I did for like another 6-7 months, maybe 8, I think. I don't really remember. Again, I was just abstinent. I was not working no program. I relapsed again. Quick little backstory. Sorry to backtrack a little. Every relationship I was in progressively got worse and worse and worse because, of course, I couldn't use by myself. I had to have some dude with me. They were all pretty much about the same, mentally, emotionally abusive. Well, when I relapsed down here in South Florida, I was kind of on my own. And I tried so hard to hold it together because I was like stubborn and bound and determined to, go to work, pay my bills, and get high, which would last for a little while until I would bring somebody else in with me because I didn't want to be using by myself. Which brings me to the end of my run, which I got involved with a gentleman who crossed the lines into physically abusive. I was with him for basically the entire 2-year run that I was out. Towards the end of it, I was actively trying to kill myself. I was back IV use. This time it was fentanyl because out here in South Florida, there is no heroin. It's fentanyl and methamphetamine and Xanax. Xanax, I would go crazy. I guess I would black out. I'd get into a fist fight with the guy I was with and then run off and crawl around in the Publix bushes because I swore there were drugs in there. Yeah.
I mean, drug addicts, I would tell you, do hide their shit in some weird places, so you never know. They could have dropped it there to, not get caught by the cops.
Dude. I kid you not. The landscapers came up to me. They were like, no, lady, we got it. And I just remember looking up at them and glaring at them and continuing to crawl around the bushes. And they're like, no, lady, stop, we got it. I was like, fuck, I'm going to have to stand up. And I stood up. I was right in front of the Publix entrance. Yeah.
So,
I was out
of course,
my mind.
As you said, this is coming to the end of your run. And what, did you go back to treatment or did you just seek out a 12-step?
So, right before I went back into treatment, I was living in a car with my cat and my ex's dog. Yeah, I don't recommend it. And he wanted me to go get help because he was tired of seeing me kill myself, blah, blah, blah. But he could do his drug of choice, which was different from mine, and he was fine. He ended up forcing me to go into Bark Detox, which is a state-run facility down here in South Florida. I didn't want to go, but I went just to shut him up. And I'm really glad I did, because at one point I did try to leave. If anybody is familiar with Bark Detox, when you tell the nurses you try and leave, they get pissed and they make you wait for at least 8 hours. At that point, by the end of the 8 hours, I was so sick and weak I couldn't even stand up, so I chose to stay.
Well, yeah, it's a state-run facility, girl. They need their shmoney's.
Yeah, they were mad. were so fucking mad, but I'm so thankful they were. A couple days into it, I started to get my bearings back and realizing, like, why am I with this guy? And I remembered praying, just sitting there praying to God, like, please, like, what do I do with this man? Do I give him another chance? Do I believe what he's telling me? Or do I just walk away from it? Like, what do I do? I don't feel like I'm strong enough to walk away from him. And the very next day, I found out that he had gotten arrested again and was facing 10 years.
Damn.
And that was my aha moment.
So it's kind of what a higher power did for you, what you couldn't do for yourself.
Yes. My higher power did for me what I couldn't do for myself. And what that also did is it made me realize, like, what the fuck is wrong with me that I let a man like that put his hands on me and me keep coming back? Why did I feel like I couldn't be without someone like that? And from then on, I wanted to change. And the only way that I knew how was through NA. I had heard it before that, like, oh, you can change your life. Everything will get better. You just have to work a program, do these steps. And I was like, fine, let's fucking do it. I don't want to do this alone anymore. I'm done fighting. I don't want to go back.
The only great thing, especially with the fellowship, you said you're using. You never wanted to use alone. You always wanted to use with somebody else. You'd put yourself in these fucked up relationships. The thing is, going into a fellowship and not getting recovery, sobriety, clean, whatever you want to call it, like, you don't ever have to do it a fucking alone.
Nope.
You don't have to do it alone. There's always somebody willing to lend a hand.
Yes, there is. And I am so fucking thankful because my using run lasted me about 10 years. And today, I have just under 15 months clean. My clean date is literally 12/1/21.
Oh yeah. So coming. Well, I mean, I was gonna say coming up on 2 years, but
coming up on 18 months.
Oh, 18 months. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
I forgot about the gray.
Yeah, it's kind of the stepchild.
So, of course, you dealt with trauma with losing your dad in active addiction.
Yeah.
What trauma have you dealt with clean that you now have to cope with your feelings, not escaping and not being able to hide?
So, at about 7 months clean, my brother got really sick. I'm sorry, I might cry.
No, you're good.
But it was cancer. And he had hit a point where he didn't want to fight anymore. And he chose that he was done with the treatment and he just wanted to go home and let the cancer do its job. And so he did. And he had passed away. And I had to learn to accept that that was my brother's choice. I had to realize, like, that is literally life on life's terms. Mm-hmm. Like, there was nothing I could do about it. There was nothing I could do about the fact that he had cancer. And I don't know about you or anyone else, but I was not happy when I was using. So I knew that if I were to go and use over that I would literally just be adding to the pain. And when I had gotten clean, I made that promise to myself that I deserve to be happy. So no matter what, I'm gonna be fucking happy.
And your brother body slammed you while you were using. I doubt he would have ever body slammed you when you were clean.
No, he wouldn't have.
So I mean, he wants to see, no matter whether he's here or not, he wants to see you clean.
He just wanted me to be sober. He wanted me to be clean and sober. he didn't want to see me kill myself slowly and be this shitty person that I was when I was using. And I know that. And I know that he loved me as his baby sister. You know.
The thing is with I haven't dealt with the loss of a family member yet in at least my sobriety or clean time or whatever. But I dealt with the loss of a friend. And the thing is, it sucks to feel, but it feels great to feel as well. The thing is, like, dealing with things as they come. The thing is with being an active addiction, when when starts going bad at work, family life, personal life, relationships, like, and I shoot up to escape, I drink to escape, that shit is still there the next day, not faced. And so you still have to, at some point, face the bullshit, face the feelings, face the reality of the situation. Absolutely. And if you go on a fucking run where you're getting high every day, when you're finally clean, it's like, fuck, that's where we come to step 4, is you have to now compile everything that you ran away from, every feeling you ran away from. And so being clean, yes, life still throws the bullshit at you.
Absolutely. But
you can immediately deal with it when it happens, and it doesn't take as long usually. Of course, a family passing is very different because, of course, the mourning process can be days to decades. So, I mean, everybody's very different with the way they mourn and process that. But you were able to be present. Were you able to go to his services?
Yes, see, I was.
And if you were high, you probably would have been out in the trap house, getting dope, drowning out your feelings. So the thing is you were able to be present and give your last respects and give those last moments with your brother, which physically he may have not been there, but spiritually he was. And he knows you were there, and he sees that you stayed clean through his passing, and he's like, fuck yeah, that's my sister.
Yeah. Which
is incredible. And like kind of talking about life on life's terms, it's essentially, as you said, you're essentially powerless to the cancer, to the fact of his choosing to stop treatment. I know my ex's father did the same thing. The treatment is torturous to the body, and you just get fucking tired.
Right. Like me and him, we watched our father fight for just under 3 years, and it's like the shell of a person that was left towards the end of it. Like, my father was unrecognizable at the end. You know, that stuff makes you so sick, and I understood that. I understood that because we watched our dad go through it, and I could only imagine how awful it was for him to try and do those treatments. And I understand that he's not in pain anymore. You know?
So what would you tell, say, somebody that's listening that maybe in early recovery or even long-term recovery, that thinks about using or plays with that idea if they're possibly in the same boat where they're losing a loved one or they're having to see a loved one go through that?
I would say to them to keep talking about it. Keep reaching out to your sober support. I would tell them that, have you ever woken up and regretted not using? Have you ever regretted that? Probably have.
I was going to say, I had to think about it, but then I was like, wait, why are you thinking about it?
I know I've never woken up and regretted the fact that I didn't use.
100%.
Like, no matter what, do not pick up. Because, yeah, things get hard. They do. But first of all, you don't have to go through it alone. And second of all, if you've done the work in NA or in any fellowship, whatever fellowship you choose to be in, if you've done the work, those people have gotten to know you and have gotten to love you.
100%. I think it's crazy how these motherfuckers, especially I'm in halfway, and I don't know these people. We come from such different walks of lives. But if I walked into any one of these people's bedrooms and just broke down, they would immediately be there for me, whether we like each other, whether we don't like each other, whether we mad at each other because somebody drank somebody else's ginger ale or used the last piece of cheese, whatever it may be. The thing is, all the bullshit gets set aside, all the animosity, all the hatred or the judgment of other people. And same as NA says, like, listen to the message, not the messenger. You may not like that person, but you love that person, and you need to be there for that person if it ever comes down to it.
Absolutely. I don't have to like you, but I love you.
Exactly. And I mean, everybody, just so y'all know, I'm fighting, trying to go over there to Ciara right now and hug her. Because bitch needs a hug, but we'll do that in a moment. But the thing is, we're powerless over so much, and I recently went through the powerlessness situation. Girl, let me tell you, I felt bad for my sponsor.
Tell me about it.
And it took up until the pattern situation of, do you have patterns of addiction? The thing is, I'm going to, like, anybody, if you're anti-recovery, hashtag sorry, not sorry, because that is what helps me stay clean today. But it, where was I going with that? Oh, we shifted off of the actual drug and onto the disease of addiction. Addiction shows up in all different places of your life, not just drug use. And so the thing is, we have to shift, because guess what, bitch? I ain't using drugs right now. So we need to shift it off of the drug and onto the actual disease of addiction. And it was up until my sponsor called me out about my vicious cycle of men and the using of men and the putting myself in a fucked up situation just to feel desired by a man. I was like, holy shit. Like, I do have patterns that I'm powerless over my sexual desires and my needs and stuff like that, but I could pray or ask a higher power, whether it's the universe or an iguana, Jesus, or whatever it takes for you to stay clean, for guidance and to put somebody in my life that actually matters. So I don't put myself into a fucked up situation again, because I can go to Wilton Manors in Fort Lauderdale, go home with a man. Best to believe, bitch, there's probably going to be a meth pipe there. And so the thing is, I have to make sure this cycle of addiction, whether it's addiction of men and the lust, does not put me in a situation to pick up a drug again, because it most definitely will.
You know, I actually have a quick little story for you. Mm-hmm. It's about my last relapse. So I had started with just having, with drinking. And that actually didn't get out of control, like smoking weed and drinking. But what did get out of control is I had gotten so lonely that I had invited another person who was a chronic relapser into my life, into my bed. Okay.
Do I know him?
No, okay. You don't. This is from
that's the nosy gay coming out of me.
This was from 2019.
Okay.
And I got drunk with him, and I decided to get high because I'm like, well, fuck it. You know, I've been clean for a little while. Like, I'm just going to use this one time and it'll be fine. I remembered after I got high and looking in the mirror, and I felt my heart sink because the realization that I fucked up and that I couldn't stop was there. And I remembered feeling terrified. Like, I felt a cold chill run through my entire body because I knew I was fucked. Mm-hmm. And there was no stopping this.
My last relapse that kicked off the month and a half worth of a relapse was not same situation, but similar, where I go to a guy's house and I knew that it was going to be there. And I said, you know what, I'm going to move soon. At this point, I thought I was going to move to back to San Antonio, Texas. Got high as hell with him. Of course, what the fuck do I do? Look for more dope. Mm. Bought enough to last me a month and a half. Yeah, bought quite a bit. Ran out, found a dope head to go to a hotel with. Beside the point, I used up until the fucking day I moved because I couldn't fucking stop. I mean, even when I moved down to Florida, I still had the meth pipe in my fucking car. Like, yes, it was empty. The bag was empty, but the paraphernalia was still there. And it was up until maybe a week after moving into a halfway until I got rid of it. Knowing for damn sure that I could be kicked out at any moment just by having that with. But you know what's crazy? I didn't have it with me because I wanted to use it. This was the situation. So I was using at my ex's house. I was never supposed to have the drugs there. My old apartment, every time I was done using, I would shatter the pipe, put it in a Ziploc baggie full of hot steaming water, and then take it to a dumpster and sprinkle the shattered pipe throughout the dumpster so if anybody found it, they couldn't piece it back together and find my fingerprints. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's addict behavior or not. No, I'm kidding. So it was the fact of like I was in my roommate's house and I had nowhere to get rid of it. Even when I moved down here, what am I supposed to take a fucking empty pipe into a halfway house to break it? No. It was like a week later. I was like, I have to get rid of this. So I went to a gas station, took it out of my car, shattered it with the gun that I had. Because I had a pistol. Well, of course, I'm a fucking Texan bitch. Come on. Shattered it with a pistol and then literally sprinkled the shattered pipe into the gas station trash can.
Holy crap.
So, I mean, again, like, we do stupid shit. Like, the thing is like, I thought I was only going to go get high that one time saying, okay, this is one last hurrah with this man that I've wanted to be with for so much. But, like, 2 days after his last breakup, his ex-boyfriend was murdered. And so, like, he just wasn't mentally there. And so, like, no matter how much I tried, I knew it wasn't going to happen. But, like, it was that desirability. It was that wanting to be wanted that put me in that situation that my relapse lasted a month and a half where I'm isolated in a bedroom, testing my pulse every 5 minutes, thinking I'm having a fucking heart attack, being awake for 3 days, lying about thinking that I had the Rona just so my roommates would not knock on my door. Crazy shit. Okay. Anyways.
I mean, we've all done it. We've all done some crazy, absurd things.
Yeah. No matter, like, anybody listening, if you've done some fucked up shit,
somebody else has done it too.
They've done it too. They've done it worse. You fucked a man in an alley. Well, guess what, bitch? They fucked a dog in the alley. The thing is like, no matter how bad you think you've gotten in your addiction, trust and believe, addicts will be able to relate to you like no other fucking person in the world. Like, they will understand what you did. They will understand why you did it. And they'll understand how to get over the trauma of what you did. Nobody else can, I feel, help you through that. No licensed professional, no nothing. Only an addict can truly understand what an addict does and goes through. So, Ciara.
Yes.
After my rant, before we come to the close of the episode, is there anything that you haven't said that you would like to?
I would just like to say that no matter where you're at right now, everything will be okay. Everything is going to be okay. As long as you don't use, things will get better. No matter what.
They may get harder emotionally.
I mean, yeah, but
guess what? You learn to deal with those emotions, and you learn to deal with the emotions that you tried to hide for many, 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 many fucking years throughout addiction.
Of course, you learn how to deal with your emotions, and you learn how to process things that happen to you in your life. You learn your values, you learn you as a person, and you get to find peace and love, freedom in God, or I use the word God, or whatever your higher power is. You know, this is a journey about you and your life and your future. And you just do it one day at a time. Exactly.
I mean, just even though when you feel sad harder. Guess what? When you feel happy, you feel happy harder because you can actually finally fucking feel true happiness. So thank you so much, Ciara, for joining us here at the Sober Unicorn today.
You're absolutely welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you again for listening to today's episode. Hit that follow button to be notified about new episodes every week. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us on Instagram at The Sober Unicorn Podcast or on our website at thesoberunicornpodcast.com. There you will find our episodes as well as our very own sober-owned shop featuring products from small businesses that are sober-owned. And remember, everyone, don't be normal, be a unicorn, but better yet, be a sober unicorn.